Hello, and welcome to my channel, your go-to source for the latest in Hallmark Channel News 24. Don't forget to follow and subscribe for all the updates. Let's dive right in.
Something has changed around Brennan Elliott, and this time, the story is about much more than another Hallmark romance. After a difficult period that kept the beloved actor away from the network, Elliott has returned to the Hallmark spotlight in a way that feels deeply personal. And when he reacted to the latest chapter, fans immediately noticed the emotion behind it. Sources indicate this is a moment that means considerably more to Elliott than a simple career update. For years, Brennan Elliott has been one of the familiar faces viewers associate with the Hallmark Channel. His career with the network has included romantic comedies, holiday favorites, and emotional dramas, and his chemistry with stars such as Lacey Chabert helped make him one of Hallmark's recognizable leading men. Elliott even signed a multi-picture deal with Crown Media in 2022, reinforcing just how important he had become to the network. But the story changed dramatically in March 2025 when Elliott's wife, Camilla Rowe, died following a battle with gastric cancer. The loss was devastating, and Elliott stepped away from Hallmark projects while focusing on his family and navigating life after that heartbreaking loss. Reports later described his return to Hallmark as the beginning of a new chapter, rather than simply another acting assignment. That context is essential because it changes the way we look at everything happening around him now. For Hallmark fans, seeing Brennan Elliott back on screen is exciting. For Elliott personally, it represents something far more complicated. And that's where the recent news becomes truly special. When Elliott returned to Hallmark with A Castle of Our Own, which premiered on June 27, 2026, the significance was impossible to miss. The film paired him with Erica Serra and marked his first Hallmark movie since Camilla's death. According to reports, Elliott has spoken openly about how difficult it can be to move forward after experiencing such a profound loss. The timing also mattered. This wasn't simply a familiar Hallmark star accepting another familiar romantic role. Elliott was stepping back into a professional world that had been part of his life for years, while simultaneously adjusting to an entirely different personal reality. And fans noticed. There is something different about watching a performer return after experiencing enormous personal change. The audience remembers the person they saw before, but the actor returning to the screen carries experiences that the earlier version of that performer simply didn't have. That contrast has made Elliott's Hallmark comeback especially emotional. Reports suggest that Elliott's approach to this new chapter has been less about pretending everything is normal and more about continuing forward while carrying the past with him. That's an important distinction. There is no indication that he is trying to erase what happened. Instead, his return appears to be about finding a way to work, parent, create, and live again. And that is where the latest reaction from Elliott becomes so meaningful. A Castle of Our Own arrived as more than another entry on Hallmark's 2026 schedule. It represented a return after an extended absence, and the film itself centers on characters dealing with change, healing, family, and rediscovering joy. Hallmark's official 2026 lineup describes the story as following an overworked architect who takes an unexpected summer trip, reconnects with her daughter, and finds love in an unexpected place. There is an almost unavoidable parallel there. For an actor who has experienced a life-changing loss, portraying characters searching for happiness again can carry an entirely different emotional weight. Elliott doesn't need to explain every feeling for audiences to recognize that the timing is significant. And then there's another important piece of the story: the Hallmark community itself. Elliott has remained closely connected to Hallmark fans over the years, and his appearances at events such as the Hallmark Christmas Experience have reinforced how much affection viewers have for him. In 2025, Hallmark included Elliott among its featured stars for the Christmas Experience in Kansas City, alongside names including Lacey Chabert, Wes Brown, and Andrew Walker. So when a star with that kind of history returns, fans aren't simply watching a familiar actor walk back onto a set. They're watching someone they have followed for years begin another chapter. And that may be the biggest reason this news feels so different. Elliott's return also reminds us that Hallmark's appeal isn't only about fictional happy endings, Behind those movies are actors living very real lives, experiencing grief, change, family challenges, and personal victories just like the audience watching at home. In Elliott's case, the contrast is particularly powerful. There was a time when viewers knew him primarily as the charming Hallmark leading man. Then came an unimaginable personal loss. Now, in 2026, he's back, but with a perspective shaped by everything that happened in between. That doesn't mean the difficult chapter is suddenly over. It doesn't mean grief disappears because someone returns to work. And it certainly doesn't mean audiences should expect everything to look exactly the way it did before. Instead, what we're seeing is something more human. We're seeing an actor make room for both memories and new experiences. We're seeing Hallmark welcome back one of its established stars. And we're seeing fans respond to that return with an emotional connection that goes beyond any single movie. For Elliott, the future may now look very different. His return with a castle of our own proves that Hallmark still has a place for him, while his history with the network suggests there could be more opportunities ahead. His previous multi-picture agreement and his continued presence at Hallmark events show that his relationship with the brand has been significant for years. But I think the larger question is whether Elliott's next Hallmark chapter could become one of the most meaningful of his career. Could audiences see him take on more emotionally mature roles? Could his real-life experiences influence the kinds of stories he chooses? And could this return eventually lead to another reunion with longtime co-stars such as Lacey Chabert? Those possibilities remain open, and we shouldn't turn speculation into fact. But what we can say is that Brennan Elliott is back in the Hallmark world, and his return carries a significance that wasn't there before. For fans who watched him for years, this isn't just another movie announcement. It's a reminder that life can change without warning, that grief can reshape a person, and that moving forward doesn't necessarily mean leaving the past behind. Sometimes, moving forward means carrying the memories with you while finding the courage to begin again. And perhaps that's what makes this particular moment so special for Brennan Elliott. After everything he has experienced, he is once again standing in the world that so many Hallmark viewers associate with him. The screen is still there. The stories are still there. The fans are still watching. But the man returning to that screen has lived through something that changed everything. Now the question is what comes next. Will this be the beginning of a major new Hallmark chapter for Brennan Elliott? Could we see him reunite with some of his most beloved Hallmark co-stars? And most importantly, what kind of stories will he choose to tell now that his own life has given him an entirely different understanding of love, loss, family, and starting over? Whatever happens next, one thing is clear. Brennan Elliott's return has given Hallmark fans something much more meaningful than another romantic movie. It has given them a reason to believe that even after the hardest chapters, there can still be another story waiting to be written.